In today's episode, we're going to be test riding the Axon Rides Pro Max, a great electric folding bike that rivals the Brompton's version. We're going to be testing the range, how much it weighs, and also how easy it is to service. Yo, and welcome back to Dan Escapes. Over the years, I've ridden quite a lot of bikes recently, from mountain bikes, road bikes, gravel bikes, e-mountain bikes. But one video that did very well was the Fido D2S, which is a cheap folding electric bike. And the great people over at Electroheads saw how enthusiastic I was about bikes and decided to send me this Axon Rides Max Pro, a bike that they sell on their website. And in this video, I'll go over the key features of this bike and why it is great for commuting. But before I get on with today's video, if you're new to my channel, I am Dan and I like to escape on my bikes and do other adventures. If that's something that interests you, then please do hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, as it helps a lot and I appreciate it so much. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the specs of this bike, and the first one being it has a 250 watt rear wheel driven motor. The benefit of having a rear wheel driven motor is that most of your weight that you put on the bike is going through the back wheel. It comes with a 252 watt hour battery pack, which is housed in the seat post. By having it here, it means there's less bulk on the frame. It's easy to move around when it's in its folded form. The claimed range for the battery is 30 miles, but I'll be putting that to the test later on. So it comes with a single speed drivetrain, meaning there's no gears on the back. So that means you have less maintenance on it. This also contributes to it being a lightweight bike. And the only time it has been an issue is when I'm going down hills and I've been spinning out because I haven't got enough cadence to keep up with going at higher speeds. But also when it comes to hills, because you've got this powerful 250 watt motor, you don't really need any, to be honest. So the bike I've been riding came spec with mechanical disc brakes. You can also spec it out with hydraulics. To be honest, I'm a hydraulic disc brake fan. I've run it on my mountain bike and my gravel bike. But on this bike, even though I've been running mechanical, I haven't felt the need that I needed more stopping power. I felt that this was ample enough and it worked really well. So this bike here comes with 2 rotations, so full 2 rotations before the motor kicks in. You can change that at the point of purchase, so you can ask to have it at half turn. There has been occasions where I'm starting on a hill and I have wanted the motor to kick in quickly, but generally on the flats, those 2 rotations work really well. And it also means that when you're stopped at a traffic light, you can't accidentally push it down halfway and the motor jumps forward. So the bike comes with a light up LED display. It only produces black and white, but the only information it shows is how fast you're going, what level assist you're on, how much battery you've got left in the form of bars, so it doesn't show percentage, and also how many kilometers you've done overall. Personally, I've been riding it all the time in the level 3, unless I'm riding on flat hills or downhills. There's no point running in the 1 or 2. You can easily turn it off when you're coasting downhill. But yeah, 3 seems to be the best for me. The bike comes with a front and rear light, which is connected to the battery. And when it's turned on, you can control it by the button, which turns it on and off. Also, it comes with a nice little horn. So the Axon Rides Pro Max comes with 16-inch wheels, which means it shares the same wheel size as the Bromptons. This is great because most bike shops carry inner tubes for that. So if you do get stuck, hopefully they will have one available for you to use. Later on, I will get into how easy it is to change the inner tube, but you'll see that later on in the servicing section. So before I get into the folding of this bike, it comes with 2 powerful magnets, one on this side of the wheel, so the reverse side of what you can see, and one here. So it means they connect together and hold together really well so it doesn't come apart when you're folding. So Axon claims that this bike here weighs 15 kilograms. So I've got my Park Tools weighing scales and we're gonna see how much it actually weighs. All right, so it's come out at exactly 15 kilograms, which is 33 pounds and 5 ounces. So they are pretty on the mark when it comes to weighing this bike. And you can tell, and it helps having a lightweight bike, because if you saw my Fido D2S video, it weighed close to 20 kilograms. It was very cumbersome to move in its folded form and just carry. So this has been much welcomed, and it's probably, one of the lightest e-bikes I've tried out. Most of them are, 18 kilograms upwards. So you definitely notice that when you go up to the higher speeds and the motor kicks out, that you can continue and go faster because the bike is only 15 kilograms. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how easy it is to fold down, because that is the key feature of this bike, how small it folds up. So the first thing we're going to have to do is put this kickstand up, move the pedals like this, so you've got your right pedal at 12 o'clock and your left pedal at 6 o'clock. You're going to lower the saddle, so make sure that's lowered all the way down. So this acts as like your stand. You've got a clip here, undo that. That releases the hatch here. You've got a little clip that kind of keeps this in place so you don't accidentally knock it off. Take that up and lock that down. You can fold that down if you want now. And the idea is, so you can grab that pole here, and then it like comes together like that. That's how easy it is to fold down. And look how compact it is. You know, it's got that stand so it's staying upright. But, you know, you can easily just carry it up like this and take it around with you. I've been taking it into shops as well. And then when you need to go, just come around like that. Clamp that down onto there, like that. Raise the saddle. And you're ready to go. There you go. So there's a few cons that I want to mention about this bike. The first one's being the mud guards. They're pretty flimsy and don't do full coverage. I guess the good thing is it protects your back, so it will stop any splatter going onto you. So if you're commuting to work, you don't have to worry about getting like rain or dirt, mud up on your shirt. But again, I don't know how protective that will be. I wish it could have been like at least a full coverage one here, and that would have been great because it keeps all the grime off of the bike. Same with the front, it's quite small. It would have been better if it curved around a bit more to protect your feet a little bit. At the moment, it just stops it spraying up in your face, whereas I feel like you might get a little bit of spray on your shoes and maybe a lower parts of your trousers. They don't feel very secure on, but I guess that's something Axon can make later on if they wanted to. They could, because they bolt on really easily, they could design a mudguard that comes all the way down and all the way around here. Although it's got a kickstand, one thing I would suggest is it is very plasticky. So again, I don't know how long it's going to last. The good thing about having the mudguards and the kickstand plastic means it contributes to the overall weight of the bike, keeping it lower. So you're not having like a metal one, which will add a few more grams and being very heavy. And while we're on the subject of plastic materials, the pedals, they're cool because they fold down, but they do have a lot of flex in them. I notice when I've been putting down power, when I haven't got the motor running, it does tend to flex a little bit, and I feel like at any moment I could put down too much power and it will snap off. You know, you could easily combat that by changing them out to a more sturdy pedal if you'd like to, but obviously you might lose the folding feature. But personally, I'd probably swap them out and have something with a bit more grip. Because of the way this bike is designed, being able to fold together and magnetized here, it meant that the disc brake has to be on this side, which is the same side as the drivetrain. Usually on bikes, you have it on the opposite side, so any dirt or oil kicked up won't get onto the disc brake and contaminate the brake pads or rotors. And that's something you have to be aware of when you're riding this bike, when you're lubricating the chain, making sure you're not over lubing it and wiping off any excess. You know, you don't want it flying off there and getting onto these parts. Okay, my final con with this bike is the height of it. You know, for me, it's perfect. I haven't got full extension of my legs, but I'm running the seat in its max position and my legs are still bent. So if you're a lot taller, this probably isn't the right bike for you. You know, you might be able to get on with it, but personally, you know, if you're any taller than I am, and I'm running about 5'8", you know, it could feel a bit too small for you. Maybe like going into the 6 foot heights, it's gonna feel really uncomfortable because you can't adjust the handlebars, you can't raise them anymore. That's it, that's stuck at that level. It's something you're gonna have to try out. It's worth getting in contact with Electro Heads because they have a showroom where you can try these bikes out to see if it's the right fit for you. So if you're on the taller side, it might be worth doing that before you purchase this bike. So before I get into the nitty gritty of this bike, Electroheads have given me a code, so if you want to buy this bike or any of the electric bikes on Electroheads website, then please use the code ESCAPES50 or click on the link in the description below where you can save £50 off your new e-bike. All right, so I've come to do some laps of Richmond Park on the Axon Pro Max just to see how far it does on the range test. Kind of want to run it until it goes empty and see how many miles I can do. So I'm going to put my Wahoo up on the front and that's going to measure accurately how much distance I've done. There is a couple of hills here. There is a really steep one. I know when I've been up on my road bike, I've really struggled. So see how it goes on that. So as you can see, the bike fits in my boot, which is quite nice. All right, so I'm going to put this up to level 3. And I've got the Wahoo ready. So once I start pedaling, I'm going to press start. Quickly pushed me up to 24 kilometers per hour. So I'm doing 12 miles per hour, 13 miles per hour. So I want to slow this down because I want to be using the power. As soon as I'm over 25 kilometers per hour, the motor will kick out. So we're approaching the steepest hill in Richmond. So gonna see how this holds up. Here we go, here comes the climb. Wahoo has alerted me. Also, I'm keeping it realistic by having a backpack on. So most people are going to be commuting with this on. Alright, we're at 7% gradient, 8% gradient, 9% gradient, 10% gradient, 11%. Still chugging away. 10% gradient. I think we can find a better hill for this. But usually, when I'm on my road bike, I kind of knackered after going up that, so I'm hardly out of breath. So we're going to do the steep descent now. See how this bike handles on a downhill. We're 50 kilometers per hour on this. 27.2. Let's get some more. All right. So this feels pretty stable. On 2 laps now, going on to my 3rd. And I'm gonna take it to the gravel road. So there's a gravel path that goes all the way around Richmond Park. I'm gonna go do that route now. It's pretty bumpy. My arse is pretty sore. So it's gonna be a fun little ride. They're doing some downhill gravel. Oh, it's a little sketchy. Alright, so we're showing no battery on the indicator, but the motor's still working. We're in 20 miles, got 0 bars on the battery. I'm going to test if the motor's still working, so I'm going to slow right down. And then I'm going to kick off again. Yep, the motor's still working, and then it's died. I got a ride back to the car, luckily not too far away. Let's see how this bit goes. To be honest, it pedals quite nicely. Like once you get up to speed, it's all right. The hills would be killer if you had no battery, but just on this nice smooth road surface. I think what killed the battery was going off-road with it. Okay, so when it comes to servicing this bike, it might be a bit of an issue. You might have to hunt around and find a workshop that's willing to work on this bike because you will have to put a bit of extra work, especially when sourcing parts for it. That's something you're gonna have to get in touch with Electroheads or Axon Rides because you need to know what bottom bracket is running in here, what headset bearings it's using, wheel bearings, also where can you buy these wheels from because they're not standard stock. And that's the thing with folding electric bikes, because you have to get them in such a small package, you have to be quite innovative and find different ways. And unfortunately, the cycle industry doesn't like being innovative. You know, they all try and keep it standard so it is easy to service bikes. So, you know, that's something you might have to get in contact with Axon and see, how do I change these parts? One thing Axon do offer is they have a 3-year warranty, and you have the option to extend that to 5 years if you pay for it. I don't know what that encompasses, so you'd have to read up about that and ask them what does that come with. One thing that was very easy to change was definitely the tires on this bike. Due to it having a single-sided fork, and same with the back wheel, you do not need to remove the wheels. You can just put it in a stand like this. This is probably the easiest way. If you're going to try and do it at home and you don't have a stand, you might have to do it upside down, but that might be a bit harder. But yeah, you could just easily let the air out, get a tie lever, pull it through, and this one came off really easily. And then I was able to put it back on without even using any tie levers. Back one was a bit harder. I was dripping sweat just trying to get the bead off the rim, but I managed to get it off. And then once, you know, I changed everything, it was easy to put the tie back on even without any tie levers. The good thing about these wheels is they are 16 inches, so they share the same geometry as the Brompton bikes. So, you know, like I said, you can easily get inner tubes if you go to your local bike shop. Also, you can change out the tires for some Schwalbe Marathon Pluses. Really great puncture protection tire. I run them on my road commuter bike and I haven't had a puncture in them. Due to them being a thick rubber, it might give the bike a harsher ride. I know that's what happens, and also they're a lot heavier, so that might change the rolling resistance and the characteristics, the way this bike rides. So what did I think of the Axon Rides Pro Max? At first, it took me a while to get used to it because I'm so used to riding my road bike or gravel bike and made of carbon, so you can put down some speed with your legs and go really fast and pretty much overtake loads of people on the roads. So once I realized that this is supposed to be a chilled ride, I really got into it and started loving it. But that's something to bear in mind when you buy this bike or any other e-bike, because they are limited to 15 miles per hour with the motor. You will be overtaken by a wide range of cyclists. To be honest, because I was just so chill and enjoying my rides, you know, I didn't really care that people were overtaking me. And I did find myself overtaking people who were on bikes that they didn't really care about, or like those Santander hire bikes that we have here in London. And after riding it, I wouldn't be as knackered or dripping in sweat like I would on my normal bikes. Considering this bike doesn't have any suspension, it was very comfortable to ride. I found it very easy to handle, especially on steep, fast descents. You know, I didn't feel like it was twitchy at all. Obviously going over loads of potholes here in London, you know, those didn't seem to be bothering me too much. The seat is quite cushioned and very comfortable. Probably after like the 10-mile mark is where it starts to get uncomfortable, but if you're going to be riding for that long, maybe it's worth putting on some bib shorts or maybe looking at a more cushioned saddle. But the great thing about this bike is how easy it is to fold down and how compact it is. You know, I was able to take this into shops and other restaurants and appointments, and they didn't care that I had brought this bike in because it's such a small package. Whereas if I had a normal bike, I'd definitely have to leave that locked up outside. I loved it so much that I found myself grabbing this bike first over my commuter bike, just because, you know, it was such a chill ride, really enjoyable, and being able to fold it down into such a small package. And that's a great thing if you work at a desk job, or if you're in an office, you can easily hide this under your desk and bring the charger, because look how compact it is. It's quite light and small that you can chuck in your backpack and bring it with you. And coming on to charging, I did empty the battery and then charge it back up to 100%, and it took 3 hours to do. So that's pretty quick considering, you know, this bike can give you like 20 miles range on the full power assist. Personally, I think this bike is definitely worth getting, especially if you're commuting, just want fun, easy rides, or if you have limited space at home, then yeah, 100% worth it. So if you want to get this bike or want to check out Electrohead's other e-bikes and buy something from their store, then remember you can get £50 off by using my code ESCAPES50 or clicking on the link in my description below. Let me know in the comments below, have you been looking at this bike or are you considering it? And if you have any questions with my experience with it. But that's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as it helps a lot and I appreciate it so much. Hope you're all staying safe, staying positive, having fun, and I shall see you in the next one. All right, step through frame.